Well, I wouldn't say it's a new offense necessarily. As this deep into the season like we are, uh, no bye week or anything like that, it's really kind of hard to change. So I wouldn't say it's a new offense. I'm excited about the opportunity to be coordinating again. I am. At the same time, um, lost a close friend and member of the staff. Um, and Coach DeBess, good friend of mine, great ball coach, great guy. But that's the business. I've been there, done that. So it's it's kind of bittersweet. I'm excited to be coordinating again, um, but at the same time, keeping in mind, guy just lost his job, so I am excited about it. Uh, the circumstances, I'm not too excited about that. But again, like I said, that's part of the business. But I'm looking forward to getting out there. And even though we're not changing offenses, don't have an opportunity to change a lot of scheme. I think his personality and my personality a little bit different. I think there will be a change maybe in uh, some of the play calls, even though the scheme hadn't changed. Bob saw the things a little bit different than I do. No right, no wrong. It's just different personalities making the play call. And so I would hope that's going to add enough change that, you can see a difference.
Coach, with a couple guys out on the offensive end, especially in the running back core, and your first practice as offensive coordinator last night, what's your message to the team with everything going on? I know they're trying to break a losing skid at home against FAU. What's your first message to the team as OC last night?
I don't know that it was a message. You don't really have time to sit down and talk about philosophy or direction you want to go. You really, even on a Sunday, after that Saturday game, like always, we come in, we make corrections. Yesterday, obviously, there was other things going on as well, but you really don't have time to sit down and get philosophical about it or make great changes. It never stops, man. You go right back to work. So that was my message to them. I met with the entire offensive unit very briefly to talk about just a couple of things, schematic things. And after that, it was broke into position meetings. It was time to get back to work. Uh, there really wasn't a message.
Thank you.
There'll be some minor changes, and our players, they notice those things that in the big picture, the average fan in the stand may not notice anything different, but the players do, just because they're here on a daily basis and they hear things said one particular way for so long, and then it sounds a little bit different the next day. So, uh, again, I think there'll be enough change that the players are, they'll be interested in doing a couple things that are new, but the overall scheme, very, very little change.
Coach, when you were here before, it seemed like the offense, there was a lot more pre-snap motion when you were here. And it seems like this year, when you've been successful on offenses, tends to be when you guys have done some pre-snap motion, and when you haven't, and you've had that single back, no pre-snap motion, it seems to be drives have stalled out. Is that something that you may bring back and maybe go away from the non-pre-snap motions?
Yeah, that's always kind of been, I guess, my style and my philosophy is we do like to motion quite a bit. All the eligible receivers will motion at some point. It kind of depends on what you're facing defensively. Some people, I think it's a great advantage to motion pre-snap. Other people that are maybe a lot more multiple, you may want to cut back on the motion and be more stationary because it does clean up the picture for you offensively, particularly in the up front offensive line. So I think that's kind of a game by game or case by case basis. But yeah, just out of habit, I typically do involve quite a bit of pre-snap motion.
You come in and the situation is a heck of a lot different, especially from when you were here last time as offensive coordinator, because you've got Shy Wertz injured. We don't know whether he'll play. You got, a couple of different quarterbacks with different skill sets. You've got some young guys in the mix, some veterans that are out. It doesn't seem like a very enviable spot to be in right now. How are you dealing with all of that part of it?
Yeah, it's yeah, you never like, and we'll have to wait and see on Shy. it didn't look good yesterday, but a lot can change in 24 hours or 48 hours. And we'll hope he makes, he heals up quickly, and hopefully he will. But, that's football, man. It's, we do have a lot of guys out right now, but I think you'd be hard pressed to talk to anybody conference wise or anywhere across the country that doesn't think they're beat up right now. That's part of it. And kind of like what I was talking about before, you really don't have a whole lot of time to sit around and ponder it and worry about it. You just, next guy's up, and you keep rolling. But hopefully by the end of the week, as far as our health situation, we'll look a lot better than we did yesterday. You never know, but I do feel like, regardless of who the quarterback is, we'll put 11 guys out there that are playing fast and playing physical, and that's the bottom line. If you do that, you got a chance. But we'll just have to wait and see on those guys. We hope we get several of those guys back, but we'll have to just wait and see.
Coach Lunsford talked about finishing games, getting back to that killer mentality that the team had back in 2018 when he took over as full-time head coach. And when you look at some of the games this year, maybe one more scoring drive where you finish with 7 instead of 3 could change the outcome in some of these games. When you look back at the film, and now that you're calling the shots again as OC, is that something schematically you think should be done differently towards the end of the game, or is it just execution once the team gets out there, once the ball is snapped? What are you seeing in some of these close late game losses that maybe might change with you taking over?
Yeah, I wish it was easy to put the finger on that, but you do. You've got to stay in attack mode. And Coach Lunsford, he talks to our team all the time about it, especially the last couple of weeks. When you've got somebody down, particularly, in the second half, you've got to be able to finish them off. And that means not necessarily going into a milk the clock situation. You've got to stay aggressive in your play call. And I think we've done that. I'm not saying we haven't. You got to keep your foot on the gas. And in football today, people can score and score in a hurry. So not very often do you ever get a lead you think safe. You've got to keep the pedal down all the time. And if you get an opportunity to put points on the board, you better make it count, because as we've shown, we've been in a lot of tight ones that come down to the last drive of the game. And hopefully we can do a better job of not having to rely on making the stop on that last drive of the game from our defense to win the game for us. We've got to do our part offensively to, put things out of reach. And so we're not in those white knuckle situations every week at the end of the game.
Hey, Coach, with the quarterback situation the way it is right now, if there's not a lot of progress all of a sudden made by Shy, and you've got to decide between a bummed up Shy who may have trouble throwing the ball, Tomlin, who's shown it in the past, Kennerson, who's got some pretty good skill set there, especially running. What do? Do you play the one that's banged up? Do you alternate guys? And if so, how tough is it to rotate guys in, or is that not too tough to do?
I don't think it's tough to rotate guys, and I know that goes against what a lot of coaches will tell you. A lot of people say if you're playing 2, you don't have any. Go back to 14 and 15, we were here. We had Kevin Nelson and Fabian Upshaw. Those guys, as you may remember, we alternated those guys almost by series because we had 2 really good players that both could have shown they can go out there and lead the team, put points on the board. So we were fortunate we could play 2 guys, and we were fortunate those 2 guys were great teammates and great friends, and they wanted to see their friend do as well as they were doing, and that the unique situation. Our situation at quarterback this week, though, it really comes down to what the doctors and the trainer tell us at the end of the week. And if they say so-and-so is cleared to play, then we don't look back and we go. But and again, that's why you've got the staff in place, the medical staff in place, and you strictly go by what they tell you. And if a guy can go, then you go full bore with him. And if he can't go, then it's the next guy up. So we really haven't, and again, this has only been a couple of days here, or a day and a half. Really haven't had those discussions yet. We're just staying optimistic that Shy is going to he's going to heal up in the next couple of days and be good to go. But if not, Justin Tomlin, he'll step in and he'll do a great job for us.
Is the difference between good to go and good to be able to throw?
Well, it's quarterback position. If you can't throw, you're not good to go. So I think it's one and the same.
Coach, are there certain combinations of players that you've been kind of itching to get into the game? Not just because of an injury, but there's certain guys that you have maybe schematically wanted to put out there. I don't want to name names, but maybe a Jalen White or somebody that you've been kind of wanting to dust off some plays from the existing playbook just for him. Is there certain people that you'd like to mix in differently than what's been done this year?
Well, and again, specifically talking about this week, we really haven't gotten that far into the game plan yet with last night and today. In fact, we're working on it now. That won't all be finalized till probably Wednesday evening. But, you mentioned Sam Kennerson, you mentioned Jalen White. Both those guys from the get-go, from the start of camp, have proven they've got tremendous talent. And Sam Kennerson, the guy can fly now. He can run. And did a nice job with a couple of runs 2 days ago. And Jalen White's been as steady as can be. Jalen, typically, normal years, he'd be playing a lot. He just happened to be, he was behind some very good, very experienced running backs. But he's got big-time talent. And it's good to see him get a few reps the other day. So those guys really haven't surprised. And, we'll have to wait and see exactly how the game plan shakes out this week as far as those two go. But they're worthy of playing time. They are, and they've shown they can handle it mentally. They know what to do physically. Both of them very talented. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they don't each of them earn some reps this weekend.
I thought the vibe was really good. This is one thing I'll say about our guys. They are very resilient. They want to win. They hate to lose. Obviously we get to a team meeting after a loss. Everybody's sad. Everybody's lips are poked out the way they should be upset. But they are trained very well to understand that you got to flip the script and get back at it. I thought the vibe was really good on both offense and defense. I thought the guys came out and did exactly what we needed to do last night to, turn the page and move on.
Coach, is there any update on Shy Wertz or any of the players that are kind of iffy for this Saturday?
Yeah, Shy didn't practice yesterday, and that was intentional. He's going to be day to day. He's hurting. So again, I'm not going to say that he's going to play or he's not going to play because we're going to have to see what he looks like on Tuesday and kind of keep going from there. But right now, if we're going to play today, that he would not. Then as far as everybody else, I think we're as healthy as we can be. We've obviously the ones that we've lost for the seasons that, that's still the same deal. But, there's a lot of guys beat up. There's a lot of guys bruised just because, we're going into really, I believe, 14 straight weeks. And, so we got to be very smart with them this week. We got to make sure that we're able to get our work in, make sure that we're very understanding of how physical we can be at practice and to make sure that we can get to the game and be able to perform.
Hey, Coach, is it tough to walk the line with Shy? You know what a warrior he is. He's going to want to play no matter what. Walk the line between your loyalty to him and how much he's meant to this program, and then having to tell him maybe for the betterment of the team, we may need Tomlin or Kennerson to play and need you to sit out.
Yeah, I think those are real conversations because, especially, changing coordinators right now, we're going to do different things. I mean, we're going to throw wrinkles out there. You know what I mean? Now, we're not going to make a wholesale change or anything like that because that's not fair to our guys. Our guys have got a lot of invested reps on things, but there's going to be wrinkles. And, if Shy's not able to practice those things and get the timing right and, and make sure that we're hitting on all cylinders as an offense, I think that's a very real conversation, of what is best for our football team. The heart, the warrior spirit, the want to, the leader that he is. There's no question we want him to play, but we do got to make decisions of what's best for our football team. And I think we're going to have to gauge that daily. Justin Tomlin's got to go into this week going, I'm the guy. Like he needs to know that. And we got to make sure we have that conversation with Justin so that, it's not, well, Shy's not practicing, but he's going to play. And I think that's important, but I think it's also important to leave the door open for Shy as the week progresses. Hey man, if you can get these reps in, then, you're going to have your opportunity.
Do you think it's different if Tomlin knows he's going to be starting from the get-go as opposed to throwing him into a game late in the game and expecting?
I do. Justin's been thrown into a couple different situations the last 2 weeks of high pressure situations and was not the starter going into the game. And I do think that's a little bit different. Now, sometimes things work out for you in those situations because you are prepared, and Justin prepares every week. There's no question, but I do think there's a mindset thing of I'm the guy or I'm not the guy. So I do think it's important that we get that figured out pretty quickly, with Shy and with JT. But I don't want to make that decision till, yesterday. That's normally a day. If we got some guys banged up, we got them hurt, we don't put them out there on a Sunday. I think Tuesday is the big day that we really got to look at that. Y'all must have got all out of me yesterday, man.
Florida Atlantic, what do you expect? They look like on paper they're a pretty strong defense, and offensively they've struggled.
Yeah, still looking at them, trying to figure them out. Very athletic. It looks like they've recruited well. 5-1, that's important. And their only loss being to Marshall, which I do think is a really good football team. Because I've watched them a couple times this year. Watching them for Florida Atlantic, obviously right now, and then when we were going to play App, watching that one. Early on in the season. So I don't, the biggest thing that I would say about them is I think that defensively they're very physical. They run around well. They got a great scheme. I think they've got guys that can make plays, can cause a lot of havoc. Offensively, it's a quarterback generated offense, and they've played several quarterbacks, and they'll play a couple quarterbacks in a game. But anytime that you play a dual threat quarterback, a guy that's asked to throw and a guy that's asked to run, I think you've got to be very mindful of that, because now it's not just a one-dimensional team. So far what we've watched, I think impressive, and I think it'll be a great challenge coming in here at Paulson. And let's, and again, we're regardless of the opponent, man, we need to get the bad taste out of our mouth and try to go get this win.
Yeah, Coach, going off that, I know back when you were originally supposed to play FAU, there was some frustration over the game kind of getting canceled last minute or postponed, excuse me. And now, hindsight 2020, this could have been an off week where you prepare for App State, kind of get Doug as OC and sort of work out some of the kinks in practice. But you just said this is a great chance to get the taste out of your mouth. So kind of where do you fall on having this game? I know maybe a couple of days ago, it would have been, hey, we'd love to have a full week to prepare for App State and get some injuries figured out and stuff like that. But kind of where do you stand on it now?
Well, I think it's a hard question, because there's so many positives to having an off week. But because of what has transpired, one, losing a football game, it's hard to wait 2 weeks to play a game. But also two, making a change at coordinator spot. Yes, you could take 2 weeks, really get everything kind of niced up and ready. But I think the ability to try to get out there, try to get whatever the new wrinkles are going to be, start working on those things, and then go into a game and do it, I think that kind of outweighs having the off week. But again, when you go back to the injury piece, I'd take the off week every day of the week just to try to get our guys healthy.
Coach, a couple of weeks ago against Army, you said we really need this win because we don't want to leave anything in the hands of the bowl committees as far as possibly not getting one. Do you feel like you have to win one of these next two games in order to secure yourself for the bowl?
I do. I don't, I don't ever want to sit there and go, and I know everybody's bowl eligible, which again, that makes it a little bit hard too, but I don't ever want to sit here and say 6 wins is enough. And I wouldn't do that anyway at Georgia Southern. We got to win them all. And, we're going to concentrate on getting number 7 this week, try to go 1-0 this week. And then we'll let that bowl thing play out. But I do think it's important that we're able to win because I think that will matter.
Y'all often talk about Power Paulson and winning for your home fans, and it's been almost 14 years since Georgia Southern last lost to a non-conference opponent in Paulson. What makes playing in Paulson Stadium, playing in Statesboro, so difficult for their teams?
Well, our environment, and what's been amazing, I've been here when there's been 25,000 people in there, and like this year when there's 5,000. I mean, it's just the environment's just different, man. And you walk in, I think the mystique, the tradition, the history. I think some teams don't understand it until they get here, and they don't understand the energy that kind of flows through us, as we play this game. I'm excited too because it's at night, man. Playing under the lights is something that our guys enjoy too, and so. I think the big piece is just what Georgia Southern history has been and what it means to our guys to continue to try to add to that win total in Paulson. I think that matters, and I think that our guys really take that to heart each and every time they play at home.
What do you think of the LED lights that are going crazy? After quarters and stuff. We've only gotten to see them, I think, once this year because the Thursday night game. What are your thoughts on the light shows?
I thought that was a great touch, man. I think that adds extra excitement for our fans, and I know it's cool for our guys. It's something that is just different and new. So I really like it. I think it's a neat deal.
The past week, have you been able to talk to some of the guys that were arrested last weekend or last Monday and Tuesday?
I try to stay in touch with all of them. I really can't comment on anything with that, but I do my best to try to, at least stay in touch because guys, and again, there's no, I can't sit here and judge anybody. There's nothing been, finalized or anything like that. And, I just want to make sure that they know that I support them. If there's something and they're guilty, then, obviously actions have to be taken. If they're not guilty, then not, and that's just how it is. But, I'm never going to turn my back on somebody. I'm going to love them. I'm going to care for them in the way that I can. Your hands get tied a little bit when it's a legal situation, and you have to, you got to let the process play out. But again, I try to be as best as I can with that. And, sometimes it's not as doable because of the situations they're in, and you're not as able to have as much contact with them. But I do try. I do.
The indefinite suspensions, just speaking in generalities about that, if there was a chance that the players should come back with this season with just 2 regular season games left and then the bowl game, how much time would they need to be able to be football ready? From these guys are all upperclassmen. Would they be able to come back quicker? How much notice would they need?
Well, with the policies that are in place with our athletic department and the indefinite suspensions, again, you have to let everything play out. If there were to be an opportunity for them to come back and them to play, I don't think that it would be too hard for those guys just because of the experience they have. But again, having a layoff does hurt sometimes because you end up being a little bit rusty, and you're not just doing football every day, and that would be hard too. But again, I can't speculate on anything, and we'll let it play out, and we'll continue to try to support our guys as best we can during this situation. Just want to make one more announcement if y'all don't have any other questions. We've had Carter Barfield on our staff as a special teams analyst. We're going to bump Carter up and take over tight end responsibilities on the field for us. We're going to be creative with the tight ends. As with Coach Ruse having coached them previously, we'll make sure that Coach Barfield's caught up, coached up on everything. But he'll be the guy that we add to the field to help us finish off this season. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that.
Kind of just really, quick touching on special teams, Alex Rayner, missed a couple field goals. How do you keep his, mindset and spirits up? It's only his first season. Dylan Lewis also only a freshman. How do you keep those guys' spirits up and not, dwelling too much on missed plays?
Well, when you really look at Alex Rayner's field goals and what he's missed and what he hasn't missed, I think as a freshman, he's exceeded expectations as far as a freshman goes. Obviously we would love to not have the miss at Louisiana. We would love not to have the miss at Coastal, and then the miss at Army, and then not getting the opportunity at Army. Those things hurt. Those two kicks at Georgia State, we put him out there to give him that opportunity, but one was a 52-yarder and one was a 48-yarder. If we're a little bit to the right with that 52-yarder, that's a heck of a kick. And then he came up short on the 48-yarder. So it's hard to get a little bit, there's been a couple short ones that got missed that we would like to have back. But when you look at the overall picture of what he's done this year, I think that the sky's the limit for him. I think he can continue to get better, and I think he can make those kicks in pressure situations. Because what I do see out of him is he never quits. He comes back, he responds at practice, and he tries to make sure he comes back stronger. He's got a good mentality of, I'm only as good as my next kick. He doesn't linger in the past of the last one. And then as far as Dylan Lewis goes, the whole plan from the beginning, bringing him in, was to, try to ease him in with kickoffs. We've been able to do that. He's done a good job with the kickoffs, but he has been inconsistent on some. That's hurt us a little bit with our coverage piece and field position stuff. And we got to continue to get better. There have been thoughts about, letting him kick field goals. But I don't think that he's shown in practice the consistency that Alex Rayner has. And, that's a good battle each and every week, and we'll continue to look at that. But right now, Alex Rayner continues to kick the field goals and extra points, and Dylan will continue to hit the kickoffs for us.
Is there any thought to use Dylan for the longer field goals that you might have?
There is, that was something that we talked about early in the year. But again, you got to base off fact. You can't just sit there and say, well, because he does have a really strong leg, that he needs to be that guy on the long field goals, because he does need to show in practice that he can hit them. And I think that's the big piece right now, is just consistently showing that in practice that he's the guy. But again, I'm not opposed to running him out there for a long one, because he does have the leg strength to do it for us.